Good morning. We are Violeta Gonzalez, Manuela Gomez, Natalia Pinilla, and Maria Noriega.
Today we're going to present how migration affects the worldwide community.
We're going to present you today's schedule. First, introduction.
Second, national perspective.
Third, we are going to take into account two global perspectives.
Fourth, we're going to explain you the critical functions taking into account the national and the global perspective.
Fifth,
Migration is defined as the movement of either people or animals from one area to another. This is a process that has been present throughout all the history of human beings, as it is considered normal. The nature of humans is to be in constant movement and constant change, meaning this is not new in these days. What can be kind of new and strange for us is the movement of such a huge number of people in a range of time to a specific place. This is what we are going to study here, how crises of migrations affect nowadays locally and globally.
National perspective. We're going to talk about the Venezuelans migrating to Colombia.
Nowadays, Colombia has been facing a huge movement of Venezuelan citizens coming to our country looking for new opportunities that give them stability in all aspects of their lives. They have left behind a country full of political, economical, and social instability. That is why they have migrated here in order to find a better quality of life. For instance, a study done in 2017 by the Colombian newspaper El Tiempo stated that the state with the most migrants from Venezuela was Colombia, with approximately 600,000 citizens. In the following table, we can see that Colombia has the higher amount of people from Venezuela migrating to Colombia. What Venezuelan people are looking here in Colombia is mainly getting a job that allows them to earn enough money for looking after their family living in Venezuela and for their basic needs. In addition, they are searching for a healthcare system that supports them with diseases, treatments, vaccines, and pregnancies, among others. Besides, the worldwide current economical failures that had also affected Colombia, specifically this Venezuelan massive migration has directly troubled the whole economy of the country, and in a smaller scale, the financial stability of every Colombian family. The economy has been contracted. The poverty, unemployment, skyrocketing inflation, and insecurity are causing profound suffering. For example, in Cúcuta, recent data showed that the total city unemployment increased from 14.9% in 2017 to 16.7% in June of 2018, which is a worrying fact. Thanks to the following graph, we can conclude that Colombia, our country, has been affected by the migrants from Venezuela with a 89.6%. Why? Firstly, because there is a higher competition for work with a percentage of 75.7. Secondly, the insecurity increase for over a 64.8%, and the generations of violence increase also for over 44.4%. It is said that these numbers are continuously increasing, and this is a worrying situation. Most people in our country are insane of desperation because they don't see any solution to their own problems, added to the continuous arrival of immigrants, which is a cause for the economy to destabilize even more.
First, global perspective.
First, the US has always been and will always be a multicultural society, one where people from many distinct ethnic backgrounds have come together and form a society as a whole. Typically, ignores the significant contributions of immigrants to the creation of American culture throughout the performing arts, science, and other cultural pursuits. Immigrants and their children are not born with more creative talents than native-born citizens, but their selectivity and marginality may have pushed and pulled those with ability into high-risk career paths and reward creative work. The presence of large number of talented immigrants in Hollywood, academy, and high-tech industry has pushed. Now we aim you to take a look into the next image that will illustrate how immigrants have a great role on the American society, and California is a huge example.
Second, global perspective. We're going to talk about how Syrian and Iraq people are migrating to European countries illegally, running away from conflict.
Migration occurs in every single part of the world. In many cases, it's because there exists a personal wish to experience new adventures, or, as it is in this case, because people want to survive from violence and conflicts happening in their native countries. This case study talks about how Syrian and Iraq people, year by year, are migrating from their nations to European countries in order to find asylum and a safe place out of war. If you didn't know, Greece and Italy are two countries that have received the bigger amount of Syrian and Iraq migrants due to the fact that they are the first countries after the Mediterranean Sea, and therefore they can be called the door from African and Asian countries to European countries. After this, Germany and France are just two of all the countries who accept giving asylum to refugees coming from Italy and Greece. Even though we are just mentioning these few countries, all European countries are daily affected in some way by this global crisis. On the other hand, talking about the literal process of migrating, this procedure is quite dangerous. During the past 5 years, data has shown that summer is the time when there is a higher amount of people dying in the Mediterranean Sea as a consequence of migration, meaning also that these are the months where most of the migrants decide to move to their new location. As an example of this, in 2014 and 2015, about 600 and 800 deaths were reported in the summer months. Lastly, even though countries receive migrants, this does not guarantee they are having a better life in here. When they arrive in the countries, they have to ask for asylum that is being provided by the government, but just certain people can enjoy of this benefit. These people who apply to being accepted in the asylum have to wait for a response. If this one is declined, they have to look for another alternative or another asylum. In the end, if they do not receive any positive response, people will start to live in the streets and try to survive by committing bad actions as stealing. These are just few consequences that migrative crisis brings to European countries.
I'm going to present you the courses of action. They are going to be divided in four. The first one is the national perspective, where I'm going to talk about first, what the government is actually doing, and second, what the government should do. In terms of global perspective, I'm going to kind of explain what the worldwide community is doing to solve the problem of migration.
To start with, I'm going to talk about the courses of action in the national perspective. So, what is it that the Colombian government is doing to help the Venezuelan people? So, they give the Colombian nationality to the babies that are born in the country, for them to have better opportunities in Colombia. Second, they give a special health care for elderly people and women under pregnancy. There are special health places where they provide medicines and a special health for them. And finally, they donate basic needs such as food and personal care. There is a special program called the Plan de Respuesta a Refugiados y Migrantes Provenientes de Venezuela, where they include 16 countries and 95 members. In this program, they donated $738 million for the new Venezuelan population living in Colombia. Nevertheless, there are still some problems that we as a Colombian society need to face due to this massive amount of Venezuelan people. So I will provide 5 things that could help to improve the security for us, the Colombians, and to give enough resources for the Venezuelan people to have a sustainable life. So, they should create a special program for them. To be more specific, they should give them some special places to live in where the government should help them with monetary resources. Moreover, they should provide jobs for them. Why? Because the Colombian businesses are hiring Venezuelan people as they don't have to pay them health or any kind of services. So they pay them very low wages and they work for many hours. So they are kind of, some Colombian people call them stealing their jobs. So they should provide jobs for them and give them the opportunity to work for a better salary, and with it give them the basic needs that the businesses should pay for their workers. Moreover, they should take a strict control of who enters the country to reduce the number of illegal immigrants. This happens a lot. A lot of these migrants enter illegally to Colombia, and many of them go to the wrong side. So, what does it mean the wrong side? They go as thieves, they go as drug takers, and this reduces the opportunity for them of having a good life. Now, I'm going to talk about the courses of action globally. To start with, I want to introduce you two definitions. The first one is refugees, who is a person who has been forced to leave their country in order to escape war, persecution, or a natural disaster. And second, a migrant, who is a person who moves from a place to another, especially in order to find work or better living conditions. Taking with the group, we arrived to the conclusion that migration is not bad, as it provides opportunities for better living conditions. It means that some countries give a monetary help for those people to work in something or specialize in something in another place. The problem is that there is a massive amount of illegal immigrants entering two different countries. So, what should the international governments and the UN nations do? To start with, the government should help, among others, to provide assistance, especially monetary, to those countries that have big number of immigrants. In that way, governments could provide them more basic needs and could help them start a new life. In the case of migrants, on the other hand, the illegal people that are trying to enter to another country should ask for help instead of entering the wrong way, in this case, a refugee. Nevertheless, there are some refugees that enter in a legal way and receive help from the governments of the country where they are entering to. For this, the countries should open the doors for them, creating some help and some programs for them to create and start a new life in this country. The countries nowadays are closing their doors and deporting the migrants that need their help. So the whole community, the worldwide community, needs to understand the situation of these people, and instead of taking them out of their lives, include them, help them, give some anything, food, clothes, or shelter. Everything is important for them.
Finally, these are our conclusions.
By taking into account our perspectives, our case studies, and our courses of action, we're going to give you some conclusions that we take from this project.